Hi, Aaron here with Acorn Farms Woodworking. Yesterday I lost a potential client, and I want to tell you in this video why that was a great thing to have happen to me. So I'm still new to trying to sell my work. I've been following all the advice and publishing things online in different Facebook groups and marketplaces, trying to get that first client, if you will. And I posted these planter boxes. This was one that I built for my wife for Mother's Day, and I've already got some ideas on how I want to improve on it. After building it, I said, I could sell these. This is something I could do. Right now, the time of recording this, planter boxes are hot, and a lot of people around me are selling them and making a lot of money. And so I posted mine online and put a price on it, and left it out there, and didn't really get any bites. A few days went on, about a week went on. Come to find out, there were a few groups that I didn't hit, and so I relisted it and put it in those new groups. And it was then I was actually at a high school graduation for a few students, and I get a message on Facebook from a lady, and she saw my post and wanted a custom order. She said, I really like the look of this box. I really want this kind of work that you've put into it. Would you be able to build me a box that looks like your design, but effectively is twice the size? Mine is 3 foot. She wanted a 6 foot box. She wanted it without legs, and she wanted it 12 wide by 12 tall. So a little bit different dimensions than mine, but really about the same amount of material and double the length. Well, I had listed the original box for $100, and I told this lady that I would go home, I would do a new SketchUp, I would do a new design, and I would get back with her to give me 12 hours from, this was that night, I said give me till the morning. And I would go over the design, I would talk about it with my wife, and then I would give her a quote for what that would cost. She said, I want 1 or 2. And so I very excitedly went back home and showed it to my wife, and we were both really excited. And then spent about, I guess it was about 2 hours redesigning the box. Because of the length of the box, I wanted to add in some more structural supports in the skeleton of the frame. Because she had these height and width requirements, I was factoring in the thickness of the trim to make sure I wanted this thing to be absolutely precise. Well, as I expected, this box was actually, it was double the size of my original box, and I ran up the cost. I think it ended up being about $90 in material just for the wood and the screws alone. And then when it came to my cost for labor, I'm still new at this, and so I was going to charge myself $15 an hour. I guessed I could do it in about 6 hours, and so that was going to be another, about $80. And so I had this formula worked out where I would do the labor, I would do the material, I added in some inflation cost for consumables, and then said for $175, I believe I could do this. If it was to be stained or sealed, I would do it for another $20 and bring in my cost to $175 or $195. And that felt good. But as my wife and I were talking that night, and we were getting ready to go to bed, it just kept eating at me that I was going to be building this nice planter box, this big planter box, for only really making $90 profits. And it kept eating at me, The 6 hours of my time, is it really worth this? I have a full-time job, I have a family that I'd like to be with and spend time with, but is this extra work, this work I'm creating for myself, is it really worth the what I'm charging myself. And I kept saying no, it's not. I went online, I went into some Facebook groups. I'm part of the 731 Woodworks Facebook group, which is fantastic, by the way. If you're not in a good woodworking group, I encourage you to go check it out. And I was seeing people build similar boxes charging $250, charging $300, and I couldn't justify that. But my last words to my wife that night was, I think $200 is a fair price. It bumps me up to about $18 an hour. $220 without the stain, or $200 with the stain, $200 without the stain, and $220 with the stain or sealant, and I'm in a good place. And so the next morning, I got up and I wrote this long message to this client and said, okay, here is the material that it will take. Here is what I'm factoring in for labor. I told her just $110, so $90 for material, $110 for labor. I was willing to deliver it. She was a local, and this would take me about a week. I wanted to give her a week time to do it. And I said, whether you ask for 1 or 2, I do believe I could get it done in that week time frame. And I want a 40% deposit to cover the cost of material so that I can lock you in schedule and make sure that you are willing to pay for this product. And then I told her on top of all of that that I would send her daily updates via messages or videos to let her know what's going on with her project, to ensure her that I am working on it, that I'm not trying to scam her. And I felt really good. I had talked it over with my wife. We had really discussed this. I felt much better about what I was getting out of it. I thought this woman was still getting a great deal. If she could even find one of these, she'd be paying $250, $300 for one. And I heard nothing. Nothing. 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hours go on. And about 6 hours later, I finally get a message. And I start reading, and my heart sinks because I know where this is going. The woman starts back by saying, that is a very fair price. That is a very fair breakdown of the material and of the labor. I want to thank you for itemizing it out for me like that. It really helped me see what it would take to build this project. However, this is more than we want to pay at this time. And so I thank you for your work, but we're not going to make this purchase. And like many of you, at first I was heartbroken. I was angry. I was, well, do I do something different? Do I go back and offer to do it for cost just to get the photos? Do I do this and do I do that? Bourbon Moth Woodworking has a wonderful video on how he got started in woodworking, and he had this very unique system that he did, and I was like, man, I really missed an opportunity here. But I got back home for lunch that day and was just grumbling and complaining to my wife, and she told me a similar thing happened with her mother who does quilting, and everybody wants those t-shirt quilts, and everybody wants someone to make one for their grandchildren and want someone to make one for high school graduation until it comes time to itemize it out. And what she's found is it's really hard to get someone to pay what it's actually worth. And so I started by telling you I think that this is a good thing. I'm encouraged, and I want to encourage you if this happens to you. And here's the reason why. I placed a value on my time. I placed a value on my work. I placed a value that was market fair and in all intents and purposes actually below market fair for a product. And the client decided they didn't want to pay a fair price for a good product. And that's it. It wasn't to hurt my feelings. It wasn't because they didn't like me. It wasn't because my work is not up to par. They simply didn't understand what it would cost to provide the product that they were asking for. And so instead of creating a bad client, a bad consumer that always gets what they want, that gets it for a cheaper price than it's worth, that causes stress and anxiety and all these not good feelings in the workers, I said no. I said, this is what I'm worth. I said, I'm going to do it for this. And you know what? I'll keep marketing it. I'll find another client. I'll have another sailor. If not, I built this one for my wife, and that's awesome. And so I'm just wanting to encourage you today, if you find yourself, especially if you're in those new stages, if you're just trying to get out there, you're trying to make it happen, and you get those bites, you get those people that communicate with you and then back off, that's all right. That's to be expected. I've had several woodworkers reach out to me and say that I only really get about 40% of the people that communicate with me as far as the ratio of people that communicate versus people that actually purchase a product. And so I'm clearly in that ballpark right now. I'm 0 for 1, but I'm going to keep at it. I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to improve from this. I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to take better pictures. I'm going to communicate better, and I'll let you know how it goes. But it is okay sometimes to turn down a client, to say no to a client, to have them say no to you. Don't take it personally. And who knows what comes of this? If this woman comes back later, I'll let you guys know. Who knows when she keeps looking and she's not able to find what she wants for the price she wants because it's not available. She wants something very custom. So if this is an encouragement to you and you want to see another encouraging video, check out my video on Be Bad at Woodworking. That's the best advice I could give you in woodworking. If you want to look for other tips, tricks, and builds, especially based around the home and gathering together with a family and improving your family time and your family quality, follow me on this channel. Like and subscribe and go on this journey with me as we learn to be a hobby woodworker and just have fun along the way. Y'all have a wonderful day, and I can't wait to see you again soon.